This time, I would like to introduce the walking scenery of Izumo Taisha in Shimane Prefecture, Japan, as well as its history and mythology. Let's take a look. The founding time of Izumo Yashiro dates back to the mythical era, and the current building was rebuilt in the Showa era after collapsing in fire. Currently, the way to read this Izumo Yashiro is generally read as Izumo Taisha, so from here on I will call it Izumo Taisha. Izumo Taisha is a shrine dedicated to the Owakunaneshi no Makoto, and is also famous as a matchmaking shrine derived from mythology. This place is also known as Aim no Hisumi no Miya, and before the name change in the Meiji era, it was called Kazuki Taisha. The worship hall here was destroyed by fire in Showa 28, and the current worship hall was rebuilt after that. The worship etiquette here is different from other shrines, and the worship etiquette is 2 bows, 4 applause, 1 bow. There is a theory that the origin of the 4 claps is the reverence for the 4 souls that have been handed down since ancient times. And at events where the emperor's emissaries are invited, the 4 claps are doubled to 8 claps. It is said that the reason for doing these 8 claps is a sign of eternal worship of God. It can be said that this shows that the Owakunaneshi no Makoto, enshrined here, is a special existence. This Izumo Taisha is also famous for its Shimenawa, which is said to be the largest in Japan. The largest Shimenawa is located in the Kagura Hall on the west side of the worship hall, and its size is overwhelming when you see it up close. In fact, there is one mysterious point about this Shimenawa. For the sake of courtesy, the Shimenawa is thicker on the right side, which points to the upper seat when viewed from the inside, and thinner on the left side. In fact, the Kagura Hall on the west side of the worship hall follows the custom. However, the Shimenawa in the worship hall is thicker on the left end than on the right. The reason for this is said to be that since ancient times, Izumo Taisha has had the left side as the upper seat. Is there any special reason for this practice only at Izumo Taisha? This special feeling makes you feel the mystery of Izumo Taisha even more. The Owakunaneshi no Makoto is revered as the god of nation building, but this Izumo Taisha is also famous as the god of marriage. The reason for this is related to the meaning of Kami Arazuki, and it also has its origin in the love story of Owakunaneshi no Makoto and Suseri Hime. Since ancient times, in Japan, October was called Kanazuki, but in the Izumo region, October was called Kami Arazuki. This is said to be derived from the fact that the gods of all over the country gather in Izumo in October, and there are no gods in the regions other than Izumo. Therefore, Kanazuki means the month when the gods are absent, and Kami Arazuki means the month where the gods gather. It is said that various gods gathered from all over the country in Izumo at this time and held various events and festivals. It is said that the origin of matchmaking is that the gods gathered from all over the country to interact with each other, and that the festival included a matchmaking festival. Another origin is the love story of Owakunaneshi no Makoto and Suseri Hime. In the land of the depths, Owakunaneshi meets Suzanu's daughter, Suseri Hime, and are introduced to Suzano. There, Suseri Hime, who fell in love with Owakunaneshi, asks Suzano, let him stay at home. Hearing his daughter's wishes, Suzano told Owakunaneshi to stay in the room with the snakes and the bees and centipedes. Owakunaneshi are also faced with other challenges by Suzano, but with the help of Suseri Hime, they get out of their predicament. He is finally allowed to stay in the same room as Suzano, but instead is told to remove lice from his hair. However, it was not lice that were attached to Suzanu's hair, but centipedes. Again, with the help of Susari Hime, he cheated well, tying Suzanu's hair into a pillar while Susano slept. He then succeeded in escaping with Susari Hime on his back and the treasure chest. However, when Susano realized that they had escaped, they were pursued and fled to Yomihirazaka. Susano then stops in his tracks and orders the fleeing to pacify the world with your treasured sword and bow, take Susari Hime as your wife, and build a palace. And Owakunaneshi, who stabilized the world, took Susari Hime as his wife and began to reform the country. In this way, the Owakunaneshi and Suzuri Hime were united after a great love affair. Because of these two origins, Izumo Taisha has become famous as the god of matchmaking. Next, I would like to introduce the myth of giving away a country. Age of Mythology. Amaterasu Ubikami asks Ameno o Shihonimi about the state of the world, and learns that the world is in turmoil. Therefore, Amaterasu decided to let her son Ameno o Shihomimi rule the country. So her sent Amenehohi as a messenger to the Owakunaneshi. However, Amenehohi became a servant of the Owakunaneshi, and 3 years have passed. So she sent Ameno Wakahiko as her next emissary, but Ameno Wakahiko ended up marrying Shida Telhimet, the daughter of the Owakunaneshi. In addition, Ameno Wakahiko planned to rule inside Ashihara country himself, so he was purged by Amaterasu. Amaterasu, troubled by this situation, sends Takamikazu Chi, a warrior god. Takamikazu Chi, who appeared on the beach of Inasan. The Amenatori Hune stabbed the sword into the beach with the tip of the Tatsuka no Tsurugi facing up. Then he sat cross-legged on the edge of it, and pressed the Owakunaneshi to give up the country to Amaterasu. The troubled Owakunaneshi replied to him that he could not decide on his own, and decided to consult with his sons. And then, his first son, Kotoshiro Nushi, immediately submitted to Takamikazuchi. However, his second son, Take Minakata, was proud of his power, so he challenged Takamikazuchi to a power match. However, he was no match for Takamikazuchi and fled to Lake Suwa in Nagano Prefecture. Takamikazuchi did not allow him to escape, and pursued him to Lake Suwa and hunted down Take Minakata. Cornered, Take Minakata finally begged his opponent for forgiveness and swore obedience. After doing so, Takamikazuchi once again pressed the Owakunaneshi to give up the country. So the Owakunaneshi agreed to give up the country, but made one condition. The condition was to build a temple equal to that of the Son of God. The meeting is said to have taken place at the Wind Rock, which is now about 100 meters away from the coast. Amaterasu accepted this condition, and the Izumo Taisha was founded. Amenehohi was appointed to serve as the priest of the Izumo Taisha, which was founded in this way, and became the ancestor of the current priest. This Amenehohi was the first person sent by Amaterasu as a messenger, and this treatment can be seen as a response that shows the high trust of Amaterasu. After that, the god, Sukunahikona, who supported the Owakunaneshi and the Owamananushi, who is said to have appeared from beyond the sea, contributed to the building of the country. And it is said that after the completion of nation building, the Owamananushi moved to Yamato Country, present-day Nara Prefecture. The Omiwa Shrine, located at the foot of Mount Miwa in Sakurai City, Nara Prefecture, is a shrine dedicated to this Owamananushi. Owamananushi, and Mount Miwa itself is a divine body. The above is the general content of the myth of giving away the country. It's a bit strange, isn't it? This composition looks like a confrontation between heaven and earth, but I feel that there is a hidden mystery there. This is just my personal opinion, but if you replace the people of heaven with the Yayoi people and the people on earth with the Joman people, the way you see things will be completely different. The Joman period, which lasted 15,000 years, was followed by the Yayoi period, which lasted for 700 years. Why did the Joman period end? Where did the Yayoi people come from? And what is the existence of the Owamananushi, who is said to have crossed from beyond the sea mean? It is impossible to unravel this mystery now. However, there is no doubt that this land of Izumo played a major role in history. How did you feel? I would appreciate it if you could give your opinion in the comments for reference. In fact, the name Izumo Taisha was different when it was first built. When it was first built, it was called Anano Hisumi Shrine, and then it was named Kazuki Taisha. It is said that the name Kazuki Taisha means that they built a building worthy of enshrining a god. The name was changed to Izumo Taisha due to the institutional reform of shrines and temples in the Meiji era and the reorganization of classes. Since then, it has been called Izumo Oyashiro, and now it is commonly known as Izumo Taisha, and is adored by many people. There are two great mysteries of Izumo Taisha. What is famous is the height of the main shrine at the time of its construction. Some history books state that the height of the main shrine is 48 meters, while others list it as 96 meters. In recent years, artifacts related to the 48 meters height have been excavated from the site. It is a pillar called Uzu Pillar, which indicates the existence of a high-rise building, and it was a discovery that supported the theory of a height of 48 meters. Moreover, there is a record that the main shrine of Izumo Taisha has collapsed many times since its founding, and it is said that this height may be the cause. On the other hand, regarding the record of 96 meters in height, many people are of the opinion that this high-rise building would be impossible because it is made of wood. However, there is a theory that this height of 96 meters may actually be correct. Behind Izumo Taisha is a mountain with an altitude of just over 100 meters. There is a theory that assumes that the main shrine was located at the top of this mountain or near the summit. With this theory, whether the height is 48 meters or 96 meters, the question of strength can be solved. And if I assume that the pillars excavated in the precincts are the pillars that support the approach to the main shrine, its credibility will be high. However, no one has been able to confirm the traces of the structure in this back mountain because no one has investigated. This is because this back mountain is off limits to the general public as a sacred area, and the survey itself is not possible. And there are doubts about whether this theory can provide a convincing explanation for certain facts. This is due to the fact that the dating of the excavated pillar revealed that this pillar is from the Nara period. The position of this pillar was also shown in the drawings of the time, and the consistency with the drawings was recognized. For this reason, it is said that the main shrine in the past was also in the position of the current main shrine, so the excavation of this pillar is very significant. In response to this fact, it will be important to see if the mountaintop main shrine theory can present new facts. However, a local survey team has surveyed the mountains of Shimane Prefecture and confirmed the topography of what appears to be many burial mounds. In the future, this survey may be a clue to solving the problem of the height of the main shrine of Izumo Taisha. The second mystery is that even the priest who manages it does not know what kind of the sacred objects is enshrined. In shrines, the sacred objects is enshrined, and in most shrines, its presence is clearly indicated. It is very rare for the general public to have the opportunity to see the sacred objects. However, it is very important to know the information about the sacred objects in order to know the origin of the shrine. However, although Izumo Taisha recognizes the existence of the sacred objects, their contents are treated as top secret. There are theories of burning and loss of this sacred object from past literature. However, according to the records of the priests, it seems that the sacred objects exist. In the materials left by the priest, it is recorded that the sacred objects were tightly wrapped in cloth and placed in a wooden box. However, since there is no description of the size of the box or the shape of the sacred object, it is not possible to infer anything from that alone. Some people speculate that the sacred object is a mirror, but this is a speculation with little evidence. This mystery will not be solved unless the priest in charge of the sacred objects makes it public. However, if these mysteries enhance the mystique of Izumo Taisha, it may not be necessary to unravel them. Thank you for watching until the end. If you found this video good or helpful, please give me a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to the channel. See you again.